Hello and welcome to this game, Dave Leese. And today we have a full house here. Jonathan Byer, say hello.
Hi, it feels like the Brady Bunch.
I was just thinking that.
We are joined by La Shai and professional figure skater Michael Solanowski, who's also a coach.
Hi.
Michael, I blogged about you, I think in my first season really covering skating, like full time. You were one of the competitors in the local round that I really covered that year.
Yeah, I remember on Aunt Joyce's ice cream stand. I was very, very flattered to be covered on that. I remember anytime you wrote something about me, it would like pop up on Google or something, and I'd be like, oh, what did he say about me? And you were this like mysterious guy. And then when I finally got to meet you, I was like, I don't know, it was not what I expected. Take that as you wish.
I will take that as I wish, yes. Okay, so I want to know, Michael, you were a competitor a lot. You hear Jonathan, I'm sure you performed sick. I'm very skeptical of the Ashley Wagner ankle situation here for a couple of reasons. She built in the excuse before she came in saying that she had an ankle infection, but she was fine now. And she made it sound like she was fine as of a week and a half ago. However, she was also doing a lot of commercials on her Instagram story, a lot of photo shoots. She was in New York doing the Today Show 100 days out after Skate Canada, and it looks like she hadn't gotten a lot of training time in just because of media things. And then also the tape was on the outside of her ankle. So
in a very dark color, so it could be seen by everyone.
How real do we think this situation is?
Don't all jump at once.
Well, I think we all want to jump. That's the problem.
Well, I really want to. I mean, I hope it's not a serious injury, because then that could be potentially very damaging for her season. But if it is not an actual injury and she feels just sort of like unprepared, then I don't know. I mean, Ralph looked really unhappy with her when she skated over to him and said, my ankle. He kind of was like, go tell them, don't tell me. So I thought it was bizarre that she got as far through the program as she did, and it didn't, I thought actually the first couple jump landings looked a little stiff and like a little bit on the inside edge, not like a nice smooth outside edge curve, but
that's not the ankle that's hurt.
I know, but I still take off whatever. It looked like she might have been a little off axis, but I don't know. I mean, I've definitely skated injured. It's not fun, but I've never stopped in the middle. Now, she says she's never stopped in the middle either, but it's usually something that you kind of decide well in advance. Like, that's something you usually at least the morning of, if not the day before, like, okay, I can do this or I shouldn't do this. She kept saying in her interview with Andrea Joyce that she just really wants to focus on nationals. So I don't know. I felt I felt bad for her, because I think it's a very awkward position to be in, and it sort of does not look good for the...
Well, it was also awkward because with Andrea Joyce kept saying, I'm here for nationals. And I was like, well, no, you're here for Skate America.
Right. That didn't...
And she didn't answer the question. It just kept saying, I'm here for nationals.
Yeah. It was a real buzz line. She wanted to get out there.
You got on the wrong flight then, because you're the wrong city.
It looked like she got injured mid-program. That was the thing. I think it was bothering her, but maybe it bothered her more. Maybe when she knew that her chances were over, it bothered her more. After she missed.
Yeah.
It's like Brady's score comes up. She misses the opening combo. It's already not a good competition. She didn't rotate anything in the short. So it's rough for her at this point.
So, Dave, do you remember when you were like, oh, my gosh, she looks injured? And she was like, Dave, stop saying I'm injured. And then the article came out where she was like, I was injured at that point. And then we were all kind of trying to hypothesize why she didn't want anyone to know she was injured at the time. Some people were saying, oh, well, she doesn't want to admit it to the judges because they're going to look for weakness. Or, oh, she didn't want it to be a talking point, whatever it was. But then we remembered she got injured because she was doing like an extra show before Worlds, or like some cockamamie exhibition for a couple bucks before Worlds. So I'm sure she also didn't want to say she got injured doing this like fluff ridiculous thing when she should have been focusing on her training for Worlds. So now we have another instance like where if you had a topical infection, I was like, did you just not wear sandals at the gym showers? Like, what does that mean? A
No,
topical infection?
those are really nasty, and surprisingly, they're actually pretty common in skating, at least in the professional world, more so with
Sounds very
boys.
gross.
From
It
the
sounds
tongue
very-
when you skate, doesn't the tongue
It's-
rub against your?
If you have a blister or any sort of, which are also fairly common, especially if you've changed boots, skates are disgusting. Like, they're full of bacteria. So if you have an opening in your skin in that area and there's just bacteria, I mean, from a bunga pad or from the skate itself, it's not that hard, I think, to get an infection in there, whether you're a hygienic person or not. And when that happens, it is really rough. Like, I've seen that happen before, where it's just like, it is so inflamed, and you can't even put your boot around your ankle when it's that inflamed. So if that's what she had, that keeps you off the ice. It keeps you out of your skates, at least, for a good week until it comes back to normal size. But yeah, I don't know. It was.
Then would you have competed at all?
I don't know, because I think if I was really a competitor like she is, like if she was better, let's say that the infection had healed and I could get my skate back on, I would want to try. But I don't know, given that, I mean, it's the Olympic year and it's the last Grand Prix event, it might have been smarter to say, I'm not prepared for this. I think it's time that I should just sit this one out and really, truly, like, prepare for nationals or be focusing on nationals. I don't know what kind of pressure she got from her coach or from the federation to show up. There's a lot of factors that go into people showing up for competition. As you guys know, it's not just putting out your best. It's also selling tickets and getting everybody, excited for the event and having your national or a national champion there. So I don't know. I feel like it was probably a really tough spot to be in. So I do feel bad for her, even though when I watched it, I was sort of like, oh, come on. But, it was like, who is this?
I only got the most skeptical, which I hate being skeptical because this happens in opera all the time. Like, some general director will come out before the curtain and he's like, the soprano is sick, but she's going to try. And you're like, God, shut up. She sounded that way in rehearsal. But so it wasn't until her, like, I'm sorry to say this, but like the fighting of the tears with Andrea Joyce that I was a little like, are you serious? Like,
it was a very calm withdrawal, I have to say. Like, when it was like she finished the spin and she was just like, I think I'm good.
I thought it was choreography. I thought it was part of the program. I was like, oh,
because she has that.
Here's
very
the
calm,
acting and the break. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I think she's had a lot of quotes lately, and she has become more dramatic in her media interviews as of late, the last year. I mean, as someone pointed out, she was talking about her bad breakup, and that article was posted the same day she and Eddie were doing a commercial together on her Instagram story. She also did skate the short program. The tape was on the outside of her ankle instead of the inside, which would be like putting tape over a sock. And it just seems like she did hear Brady's score. She has not looked prepared or trained all season. She looked out of condition when she did the summer competition. She did not look prepared for Skate Canada. She wasn't rotating some easier triples for her, and she didn't even rotate the jumps here when she doesn't really do that under pressure. She tends to not be as trained. So I think she would like to have a couple of weeks to get ready for nationals. So she definitely wasn't gunning for the Grand Prix final.
Well, and if Ashley had even skated like a quote unquote clean program for her, she would have inevitably been behind Brady considerably, don't we think? And surely she knows how that looks.
I think she would have been fifth.
I don't think so.
With triples, but if she had done
if
triple doubles.
If she had had triple triples and had like a lot of momentum, her components would have been way up through the roof. Like, if she had had a really lights out short and long, I think she would have at least medaled. I don't know if she would have. I think it would have been really close between her and Satoko, but I think she would have certainly been placed higher than Brady Tennell. Even though Brady technically probably would have had a higher score than her, I don't think component wise she would have beaten her. But speaking of Brady, not to like move this along, but did I not call that on Friday? I called that.
Who's your Olympic team, Michael? Oh
boy, we're jumping that way. It's going to be Karen and Ashley, and I I think it's going to be Brady. I do.
So 4 years ago, Michael called Paulina Edmonds making the Olympic team, and I thought it was going to be Courtney Hicks.
No, because
we're calling
because you.
Paulina.
What'd you say?
I was calling Paulina before, after the Junior Grand Prix final, because I'm watching such things.
I remember us talking about Paulina because I said she had, like, at that point, this kind of lilting, almost like Oksana Bayul quality to her, and I thought, like, the judges are going to like that. And she's young and fresh, and Brady to know. Young, fresh, can rotate. She's clean. I thought it was funny that I watched some of this stuff with commentary, some of the Skate America, and some of it without. And when I watched the commentary from the NBC broadcast with Tara and Johnny, I thought it was funny that Tara kept saying, like, oh, she's the most consistent American lady that I've seen in years. And I'm thinking, like, they just said that about Paulina, like, a few years ago. And then they had just said that about, like, Mirai, like, her first season. It feels like, she's very new to the scene. So to like anoint her as the new most consistent American lady, it's kind of like, okay, it's calm down. It's been one competition, but she certainly has had a good season and she's got momentum behind her. And I almost feel like she and her team probably would have never imagined that she'd be in this position this year, like last spring when they were crafting her programs and picking music and coming up with, a concept for her season. I think she did a great job, but I mean, Cinderella, like When You Wish Upon a Star?
Her heart makes, which...
That's right. And it's sort of like...
It's not her first year in the seniors. Scott Brown do a good choice there. This is not her first time. Last year she had a bad back injury. She's been one of those skaters that does really well in the summer in the past and then has gotten injured. I know she's had a back problem. So we didn't even talk about her after Lombardia because, one, I hated the programs, and two, I was not sure which way this was going to go. I'm not ready to, anoint someone, but I think at this point, she absolutely has to be considered for the Olympic team. I'm not sure about Karen Chen, I have to say at this point. If there's one person that looks...
I thought Karen would be the one out, maybe, for Brady.
So then if it's not Karen, and we're assuming Ashley gets the spot, then... who would be the third for you?
I think they denied Mirai Nagasu twice. She's in the top 4. I think they kind of have to go with Mirai.
Yeah.
The U.S. can't pull that up twice. They cannot do that.
No.
Actually, she's doing the triple axel. I think Phil Hirsch will actually mow them down.
But if she finishes 4th, she's not getting sent.
No.
I hope she gets it. I mean, I have a very soft spot in my heart for her. I feel like she's given up her life to do this for so long now. And she's really come back strong, I think, over the last year. And she's good for her. She's being gutsy going for that triple axel. I think it's great. I have a lot of respect for what she's doing. It's sort of bummer. It's like a bummer for me that all of the charisma that I feel like she used to have is just gone. Like, it's very focused on getting these jumps clean and rotating, and so she's not, in my opinion, she's not as entertaining as she used to be. She's much more like a technician, just get that job done, but she's getting it done. I mean, the sad thing though is that she's been clean or fairly clean in terms of her standing up on jumps, but she still hasn't gotten a medal on the Grand Prix or even close.
Okay, moment of honesty. I don't care about the American ladies Olympic team.
Well, I don't think the ISU does either. So,
but this is one of those things that's not like, oh, these ladies suck, although their track records aren't going great. But in general, like, I am a United States citizen, but I do not care about like America's teams just because they're American. Like, especially even here, I was like, I would so much rather attend Japanese nationals at this juncture than go to San Jose. Like, I want like a front row ticket to Japanese nationals because I'll be crying no matter what happens. I'm gonna be like, oh no, I loved her. Like, that's gonna be like a riveting, like well skated event with amazing women and tough calls to make. The Americans,
especially because they only get 2.
It will be dramatic. Ashley always gets the attention on her. It will be, Mirai will be gunning for it, and she will come out on practice with a real focused, determined look. And then you look at kind of the Bradys and the Karens, I think it'll be very dramatic. And Mariah Bell as well at U.S. Nationals. I think it'll be very dramatic. One thing is that, speaking of drama, if you notice, Ashley and Adam always either have good competitions, they wipe out like in Boston, they do well in Boston. He had the shoulder, she has the ankle. They kind of are very in sync. They're on the same cycle, I think. But happening in terms of drama here, it's going to be interesting what happens. I think Karen Chen, if she doesn't make it, they're going to point to the book and say, like, Karen Chen's book deal, so much pressure. But how much do you think changing the programs this many times, this late in the season, I don't think the programs are necessarily the problem. I mean, she changes the program. She never looks at the triple flip and the fact that she can never get the clean triple toe off of the end after she has like the Tanya Shevchenko enormous Lutz that doesn't do the triple toe well. What do you make of her chances?
All the programs are the same, so it shouldn't really matter which music's on. I kind of liked that the second long that she did, and like going back to this program that she's done a million times. So what's another season? Everyone else is doing it.
But it didn't help.
Right, but that's not the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I thought she skated a decent long program.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
I thought she skated
mistakes,
a decent long program at her last Grand Prix too.
Yeah, but I thought she looked really like, I don't know, maybe it was the commentary going through my ears with Tara and Johnny saying she's got to be determined, she's got to fight, and I thought she looked like she was fighting. Like she didn't pop, she didn't splat. You know, she really looked like she was trying very hard to get the job done, which seems to be the motto for American ladies, which is kind of. Yeah, like you were saying, Jonathan, like you don't care about the American ladies, and it's sort of like we are having this debate about who's going to be on this team as though we have this like, oh, there's such, and you know, Johnny said like, oh, we have such depth, and I'm thinking like, we don't really have depth in the U.S. and
we have the depth in that B.C. level.
Yeah, I think the problem is lack of depth.
We have a lot of girls that could be in the like 6 through 12 warm up, or 7 through 12 warm up, you know, after the short program, but. That's kind of unusual for the U.S. I mean,
and there is revisionist history. Like anytime someone does semi-well, you know, we used to joke about this with the Canadian ladies, Dave. You'd be like, the one time one Canadian lady does like a clean program, and they're like, she's gonna win the Olympics.
Right.
But we've been doing the same thing. Mariah Bell won a silver medal once at Skate America, and we're like, it is all about Mariah Bell. She is the girl we've been waiting for. Nope, turns out not. Goodbye. Then like Karen Chen does 2 good competitions with some icky ones in between nationals and worlds. And we're like, she is it. No, she was never it. She had a rough Grand Prix last year too. You know, like, but all of a sudden she becomes the thing. Now, I think Brady did a very admirable job, but we are inevitably, many people are now doing the same thing. And I'm not saying Brady couldn't make the team, but I'm just saying we're like, Brady did 2 clean programs. Oh my God, she's the hero we've been waiting for this day.
Right. So the thing I think good about Brady is that she pushes these girls to work a little bit harder before nationals, and the fact that Karen's national title, to me, was a wake-up call about how slow and poor the GOEs of all of Ashley's elements were at nationals. I mean, her spins are still pretty weak. The footwork is dreadful. The transitions are dreadful. And the jump landings are quite weak at this point. So I think Brady kind of pushes these other ladies to have to step up their game. So I don't think that that's a bad thing. I'm curious about the Russian. Oh, I also liked how Johnny called out that he didn't buy Ashley's withdrawal, as he was the king of that in his day of the drama.
Well, that's how he can spot it.
Yeah. So I have a theory on Ashley, and it's not like I haven't like talked to anyone that it's not, there's no like evidence for this. It's just my own personal thoughts in my own head. So I think that Ashley really needed Gracie to motivate her. And the second that Gracie had that world and it all went downhill, Ashley has also gone downhill. And I think that like the rise of Karen Chen as it was isn't really like motivating her, and Brady's Cinderella is not going to do it either. There's like some sort of symbiotic relationship. I'm sure like there's other skaters, if we think about it, that had a similar thing. That needed each other.
Kwon and Tara had a nice little rivalry for a couple of years, but then, you know, Michelle had to just keep pushing through, and she had a wave of, younger skaters coming up to kind of push her. And I think maybe you would point to like Sasha Cohen as being the next one that kind of kept her going. And then Sarah Hughes, of course, came in and just like blew right by them both.
It's almost the same thing when you were talking about Tanya. Like, okay, so Tanya's going to whack Nancy's knee. Well, there were a lot of people that placed between Nancy and Tanya at that Olympics. Like, how come Ashley can't find motivation from a rival outside of the U.S.?
Right. I think there was something about like Gracie and the Gracie Ashley thing that like Ashley needed Gracie, and
it's a very interesting theory, and I actually kind of buy it in a way, because there is something about a domestic rivalry and somebody that you've competed against for years where you're just sort of like, their habits, like, you can almost tell sometimes at a competition when you see somebody, like, even before they get on the ice, just what their mannerisms are like next to the ice, like, oh, she's nervous, or like, oh, okay, I think she has she's got her stuff together this year. So you can sometimes tell, and I kind of think you're right in a way, even though I never thought about that. So that was a very good theory.
I also think that her silver medal in Boston was kind of the highest she was ever going to achieve. So without that distraction I don't think Ashley was in ever danger of becoming world champion like last season or winning the Olympics, in terms of what her competition is in the world. And I think without Gracie to motivate her, I think that is a good, valid point. What do you think about the Russian ladies? Because they're all gunning for that third spot. Two of them here. I don't think Serafima Sekanovich was thought of as a contender at all until she called up Plushenko and became one of his angels. I thought she was so slow during her program. I thought she would stop like Ashley multiple times. I was waiting.
Oh my God. I just couldn't believe that, Johnny likes to gush over his Russians. So I was sort of like, okay, but I mean, watching her, especially that double axel, I mean, I think I have like a juvenile girl with a better double axel than that. Like, it's really slow and really like it's crawling.
Also, she kind of was like styled like Tanya Harding in the short program, and like that pale dress, and I was like, oh.
I was not a huge fan of that. I mean, if she makes it, I kind of feel like, and this is not meant to be an insult, but I think she's like a bit like Russia's Courtney Hicks, where she's got like some good jumps and she's got like some nice, she can pull off a good triple, but the packaging is just kind of not been pulled together. And I'm sure she's lovely, and it's like, I'm not rooting against her, but I would be kind of surprised if she ended up taking that third spot.
No, I think she's not a factor. It's going to be between Paulina T and Satskova.
But Paulina just let that go this
and
weekend.
Maybe Radinova, actually.
Well, I had Paulina winning here.
Me too.
After her previous showing, I was like, she could do it, and then she didn't. And I was like, and I think it's Maria's for sure.
I do too.
Yeah.
Paulina skated like she thought that this was going to determine her Olympics, and it went the opposite way. I mean, Terry didn't even go with her here, so I think that kind of tells you where you rank in the coach's importance.
Which is weird, because surely that's a direct flight on every hour, Moscow to Lake Placid, right?
But I mean, she's clearly the third-ranked girl in that rink, and she.
But the third-ranked girl who could be going to the Olympics and still. You know.
Yeah, had she won here, like I thought in fantasy that she was going to, she would have really upset everything with Maria. I think it was really just down between Maria and her, but Maria does seem to be.
And let's put it again in perspective. The third-ranked girl in that rink who could easily be our national champion if she were
several times.
Yeah.
She's what we've been waiting for.
I do think that her overall styling in the free is way too dark, and it just does not lift her.
Dave was not having it. I was sitting next to him, and he was like, "This aura, it's dark."
It is, and it seems forced. It seems artificial or put on her. It's like Diet Medvedeva, right? Like with all these like kind of faux programs and whatever that hokey dialogue is in the beginning and the pantomime calligraphy or whatever. It's a waste of her talents, because she actually, I think, is very talented, and it's just.
Yeah, the jumps are big.
Yeah.
She's using her legs.
The pantomiming is really spreading to Japan. What is going on in Amelie with this.
And she looked
I
dead
know.
in like the arm.
like-
I don't remember that part of the movie.
Did she
That's
get this
not a
confused
thing.
with Pinocchio? I said the same thing. I'm like, this is not an Amelie, is it?
Because her short is really lovely. Like it creates like an effervescent, like ethereal, like that was really nice. And then when I see the Amelie, and she's in like army fatigue colors, and like it's just
Like Les Mis or Miss Saigon kind of leftover. It's not in the Tanev color palette for Amelie. And it was just a strange, I mean, she, again, could be our national champion, Kaori Sakamoto, and she's like number 5 in Japan, like a solid Angela Nikodinov, but never going to be the it girl. She's strong, silver medal here, but yeah. What did you think of Satoko Miyahara? Does this put her back on the radar? I mean, Japan wants to send her to the Olympics. The federation's been pretty clear to the journalists that she is their ideal skater. She has a lot of respect in that federation, in that country. What do you think of her outing here?
I love her. I love her skating. I think I think you called her like a skater. And I think, yeah, there's just something about her knee bend and her quality of glide. Like if you watch her connectors, like she can connect several turns or, you know, like a twizzle with a rocker and like no pushes in between. Like it just flows. And that's hard. Like that's something that's very natural and kind of, you can't really teach that, what she has. And I think her spins are amazing. And yeah, I think you also mentioned this recently, that it's really striking to me this year, maybe because there's like, you know, some Russian girls that are jumping very big and some of the other Japanese girls that jump very big, where oh my God, those jumps are tiny, 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 tiny. And I usually hate that. And I'm usually like, ugh, the girl can't jump. Like she doesn't lift like if somebody doesn't leave the ice, it just isn't exciting. But for some reason I give her a pass where it's like, well, that's her thing. She jumps really small and that's her thing. And I don't know if that's going to fly for very long, but I thought she looked really good. I thought she did a great job, you know, putting herself.
I mean, honest to God, whoever thought we were going to see a quality program to Memoirs of a Geisha? I've never seen one. So, like, to me, this is like the ultimate Memoirs of a Geisha program, and it was the ultimate Madame Butterfly program, because there have been a few, but they have been quite poor. Every minute of that music is responded to with appropriate movement. Her arms are gorgeous and everything about it is so exquisite. And then she jumps and then you're like, oh, that's
But you know what? She's getting around, and that is more than a lot of those girls.
She gets around, and in some ways it's even more.
She gets around.
that she can do it because it's so small. It's like she's like a hummingbird. It's like, how do you actually rotate that fast? And be that low? It's like, whoa! It's in some ways it's like just as impressive as the girl that jumps 3 feet off the ice, because it's her rate of rotation, which Johnny was very into. Like he was really into talking about that, about rate of rotation and height and all that. He was talking about that with who was he speaking about that with Sakamoto? How he kept saying like, oh, her rate of rotation and her height is like equally matched. Anyway, that is not the case for Satoko, but it's still really impressive what she does.
They're exquisite programs.
Yeah.
I mean,
programs. Are you into the Adam Rippon Bird program at this point? Because I like it, but Tara was gushing over it. Tara has the thing where anytime someone skates to Coldplay, she thinks that it is.
She's seduced by music. She likes the music and ergo thinks that artistry is following the music.
The thing to me is that Adam has this moment in the program where you just need like some beautiful skating, some beautiful movements, and he starts doing those crossovers, and the pumping happens, and it kills the entire effect of the second half. I mean, I think he has a nice body line. He looks great. He, like, you know, he has the whole package. Like, he really buys into the theme. He's going all out with the costume. To me, there are some real dirty spots of the second half of that program. That said, I like-ish what he's giving this season.
I like
I
the
do too.
program a lot. The only thing that bothers me still is the opening position. I wish that was something different. And I get it, and I think it's very artsy, but in a picture, when you see it, it's kind of like, I don't know. For some reason, I would have chosen something different for the opening.
But do you find the choreography consistent? I don't. I think he's just kind of like he has his token landmark moments of choreography, and from competition to competition, the rest is just kind of filler as he sees fit. If you look really closely, that's how
I haven't paid that close of attention to it, I guess. But I will say I thought I liked that performance a lot, and I thought the choreography was appropriate, whereas in his short program, and I'm a big fan of Adams, but I felt like the beginning was very like skate and jump and skate and jump, and there was nothing. And I was really surprised because it didn't strike me the first time I saw it, and I just got into the music and was like, okay, Adam's working it. He's going to the club. But there is like no choreography at the beginning of that program at all. It was kind of like...
He's waiting in line to get in the door at the club.
Okay, got it.
He's got to pay the bouncer. Yeah.
Short, I agree with you on the short. I will say that the fact that he actually performs in an event stands out to me after you watch Voronov and Boyang Jin, who just have completely vacant jump drill programs. Right. I mean, Voronov, like, he got the fact that Adios No Nino was about red and black, and he got some gloves, but there was nothing.
Period. Yeah.
Right. I think that Adams Long is, like, one of the best collaborations we've seen with one of, like, the Dancing with the Stars, the non-skater dancer world coming into skating and doing something. I think it's the best. I mean, it's my favorite Long he's done. I'm glad he went back to it this year.
As much as I don't like Nathan artistically, typically, I'm really starting to come around to this Long program. And I don't know if he's selling it more. He had a lot of mistakes, but I really like the footwork. I think the Rite of Spring section is really strong for him. And I think Lori did a really good job. And then I think if he can land stuff, that that the spread eagles at the end will be a nice moment at the Olympics if he is at all landing stuff. At this point, though, are you starting to question the other quads and when they're coming in, and he and Raphael change the jump layout every competition almost? Is it time to just set the pattern and stick what he's going to do? I mean, he started the season with the quad loop, which is a completely different pattern than his quad lutz. They've ditched the quad loop completely, even though that was consistent for him in the first events. I guess, what do you make of, like, the actual program jump layout?
And why doesn't he have costumes? Like, it's almost December. What's going on?
Lisa McKinnon is very busy. She can only crank out so many dresses and shirts. I don't actually know if he's going with her, but yeah, I think his programs are very sophisticated. I think that if you watch like the detailed transitions and the arms, like, you know, they've made a big push, meaning the team has made a big push to promote him as an artist.
I'm obsessed with the short. I could watch that all day.
I agree. I think the short is brilliant. I think it's really, really well done. But I do think I agree with you, Dave, that it's time to kind of like set a program pattern and start training it, because it's, you know, the Nationals is a month away, 6 weeks away. And
okay, but then riddle me this. So he seems pretty flexible. He seems pretty adept to, you know, and they clearly tried to change some things. And there's so many questions about what is the point of the Grand Prix, right? Do you remember when it first came out and Frank Carroll was like, well, who cares about that? But like, I wonder, are they using this entire Grand Prix as a giant dress rehearsal?
Yeah, which, like, it's sort of disrespectful.
Is it? That's my question. Or do you use these as vehicles to find out that whatever they change this time does not work?
Well, Adam said it was to get his check. That was the point.
Yeah. So. Well, this is the only check Adam's getting this year.
Could you imagine going into work and being like, I'm here to get my check?
These are sisters. Oh,
yes.
Look, somebody has to pay off that Cartier love bracelet.
Yeah. Who gave him the Cartier love bracelet? Because he was with someone who was actually talented. No more. He was with the USFS video guy over the summer. I don't think the USFS is paying for that love bracelet. My theory is it's Japanese fans, okay? I think Japanese fans bought
That's
him.
a good guess. That's a good guess. Probably. But
well, then maybe the Japanese fans can pick up all the dead bugs off the ice for him next time, because that's what he actually needs help with.
Yeah.
That was
what
ridiculous.
Was that? Were they dead bugs, or were they just
They were dead flies.
Oh.
Isn't that what the Flower Girls are there for?
Yeah,
to pick up dead bugs? Well, they didn't do it fast enough, I guess.
Why are there flies in Lake Placid? It's cold. And aren't they...
That's why they're dying.
They always end up in the rink, though. We have dead flies on the ice at our rink, too. I don't know what it is. They're, like, attracted to the cold or they're attracted to the water. I don't know, but we get dead bugs.
Excuse me, I'm wondering about you, Mr. Michael, because you're like, oh, yeah, boots are really gross and unhygienic and flies are gross.
No.
No, boots are bad. Like, I had this mold incident, and it was, like, a bad experience.
I have a boot dryer. I should send it to Ashley. It's actually, like, it's a little thing that blows like warmish air into your boots to circulate out the moisture so that they actually dry out.
Yeah. What?
Not really. I mean, it doesn't smell great. Your feet are going in them, but it's not like mine just smell like leather. I'm saying it.
Mine are deadly. If I'm skating, mine are deadly. But I will, I'm a foot sweater, but I've had cuts on my ankle because I had the foam underneath my tongue on my boot came up, like it peeled away, and I didn't notice it, and it was rubbing on the inside. So, it's
not a natural thing for a foot to be in a really hard leather thing with a knife underneath it. It's not good for our feet. I'm telling you now, it is not good for our feet. I probably won't be able to walk when I'm 50, but whatever. It's fun. So we put up with it. Now, getting back to the point of the Grand Prix, that is really interesting what Jonathan was saying. Like, is it a dress rehearsal, or is this something that you should be really, really treating each competition with, like, this respect? And I guess it just depends on what kind of skater you are and how you thrive. You know, I can't imagine somebody like Kristi Yamaguchi, like, going out and saying, like, oh, I'm going to try the triple sal this competition. And I'm not,
not wear a costume.
It was, well, yeah. But, like,
I'm really upset about the costume situation.
I know.
It doesn't bother me so much.
Not for the short, but for the long, I was, like, really bothered by it.
So someone described him as, like, he's, like, the cool, chill, skater who's not taking life too seriously, even though he clearly is. I find it interesting about how, like, all of these skaters are rumored to have skating moms, and then they choose Nathan to be like, my mom's just made skating so fun for me. Meanwhile, she's at every practice, like, rolling his quads out when we were there training, watching him train. But it was interesting.
Well, he's young. His mom needs to be there. He's, like, still a minor. So
yeah. But I think it's interesting with him is that I think that he will have costumes for nationals, but I think last year he didn't really get in gear until the later Grand Prix, and then the Grand Prix final is when he really started to
solidify.
He was off here. Like, that short, I think, sort of hid some things. Like, the quadlets was the only thing that seemed, like, really solid this whole competition. That flip he, like, turned out of, that axle in the short was crazy. I don't know how he landed that. Like, didn't even jump off his toe.
That axle is always scary. It seems like a lot of men are having issues with triple axles, and I guess they just don't focus on them because they're so focused on doing the quads now that you spend more time training like a triple toe and a quad toe or a quad lutz or quad flip, and picking jumps are easier, to make more consistent. That axle takeoff is volatile. We learned
as
that
Dick Button said
years ago.
I like how Adam used to not be able to do the axle at all, and now it's all he posts on social media constantly. It's himself training that axle, but he can do it.
And the minute he got after the short program where the axle was the scariest, Raz said, just don't make me nervous next time, okay?
Did you guys see their Instagram stories about how they both missed the flight? Ashley and Adam missed Skate America 4 years ago. The last time, talk about their cycles matching. The last time they did Skate America together because they, like, decided to get coffee.
Off told us that they didn't have the best education. Coming up, I didn't. Okay, that's just, which is clear. Johnny's in that category. But what did you make of the pairs here? We had the U.S. is going for one spot at the Olympics. I looked.
Goodness.
The Knierim are 0 for 9 on the jumps, and everyone is saying automatically they're our spot. They earn that spot. Are you automatically sending the Knierim to the Olympics based on a body of work?
Versus who, Dave?
Yeah,
everybody messed up their
Wait,
job.
so I have a question. I should know this, but okay. Can you explain something to me? All right.
Yeah.
So if one of the so in pairs, if one falls, it's counted as a fall.
Yeah.
If one does double, the other does a triple, it's counted as a double.
A double.
So Chris was going for doubles here. So is it better for Alexa to land a triple to Chris's double versus... Sorry, is it better for... I don't even know what I'm asking. Like, why is Alexa rotating?
Alexa falls on a triple and he only does a double. They're getting credit for a double that has fallen. Yeah.
Well, someone has to get consistent on the triples eventually.
I mean, she's got to practice, so you might as well practice doing it in competition. But I mean, I think they're going to the Olympics. I don't imagine that they're going to have send another.
Because no one else has stepped up. Someone could have stepped up, but
absolutely, somebody could have, but.
Well, I had to step off for a moment. They're 0-9. There are no other teams that are even coming close to stepping up. Say a team pulls a miracle at nationals, at Tara and Danny. What is the USFS going to do at that point?
They're going to send Alexa and Chris.
But my question is, what have they done that was so strong other than being in the top 12 last year? They've had 2 really rough world championships. Last year they were just okay. They made one final. They didn't skate well at the final. They made that in part with the situation that happened in France that season. I don't see the strength of the body of work as much as some of their ardent fans do, although I do think they are the most consistent U.S. pair, even though they've been pretty inconsistent throughout their careers.
But I think also internationally, I don't think any team's ever beat them. And any American team has ever beat them. So
they've been breathing and there. And that.
So what you're talking about in the body of work actually not being overwhelmingly impressive is compared to top contending teams. But compared to the other American teams, it still is better than that.
Still better. So even if they were to get... Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're in their individual elements, aside from the side-by-side jumps, are so much better than everyone else's. Yeah. Like, their throws here were so good that...
And the twist.
Right.
Yeah. Twist.
Which almost makes you wonder, like, are they just forgetting the side-by-side jumps? And, like, because the throws are so improved, I thought, too.
I mean, he had some sort of a knee situation 2 years ago that they were kind of keeping quiet. I don't know if that's a factor or not. I know that I believe he started skating later and started jumping later, which is never a benefit. So I don't know.
You mean like in general he started skating later?
I believe so. Or at least started doing triples later. So
okay. He was probably like a big boy and they're like, oh, we're going to make you a pair boy. I mean, that used to happen at UD all the time where they'd be like, ooh, this one, he's going to be a pair skater. So then they try to play catch up and get him a double axel and a triple toe so he can actually be a competitive pair skater. And sometimes that's challenging, especially when you're up against some Russian pair team where the guy had a full set of triples and then, you don't do quad, you do pair skating. So that's just the way it works. So it's in the U.S.
And he doesn't have a quad. That's correct. Okay, two thoughts here. They all, in general, the pairs this season, especially from North America, kind of have these like weepy, inny, kind of whiny music, ballad sorts of things. And to me, that's not Alexa at all. Like, what is going on? Bring back the Metallica program, or at least just own it and just do something wackadoodle and just be out there and maybe interesting that way. The other thing is we talk about like when we suggested that she would look good with Danny and then everyone assumed that I was gunning for them to get divorced or something like that. That's not what I'm saying, but like...
That was Mitch Poyer's dream, who is the pair consultant.
Oh, I mean, for goodness sakes. Okay, but when couples, we've talked a lot about what it means for a pair to be a couple. And there are good things and there are bad things, I would think. In opera, I have seen tenors and sopranos that are in relationships, right? And when they share the stage, I mean, can you believe it?
Who knew? I never knew.
They're in a relationship, or are you saying a tenor?
So what's that now?
A tenor and a soprano are in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, can you believe it? But like, so they like it's a common thing. Let's say there's a couple that are both doing these leads in an opera. Inevitably, one is only concerned about the other person while they're performing. So Alexa is very compassionate about Chris and Chris's situations and Chris's injuries and Chris's difficulties. So I think at some point it must be difficult when you're in a relationship and your partner is struggling to even be able to focus on yourself and land the triple sow and the triple toe, which she could do. It's not her cross to bear as much as it is his. But now if she's so concerned and giving so much energy and compassion towards his difficulties, I would think it's hard to focus. Maybe?
Right. No, I had the same thought, but here, I think he wasn't trying triples. Like, I think he went in saying, I'm doing a double.
Yeah.
So she shouldn't have been concerned. But I think it did look like she was.
Yeah.
I have a hard time sending a pair I just have a hard time sending a pair to the Olympics based on what they did last season if they can't do side-by-side triples this year. But their other elements are better. So it's, what do you do? It's hard to wrap your mind around it.
And
but in the short, all the side-by-side. It's like, that's the tricky thing.
In the short program, they had more mistakes than all the other American pairs and placed higher.
Their PCS is still very high.
I do think they had a little bit of a skating in America bump while American, which happens in every Grand Prix. I did think that Kirsten and Michael Marinaro were better overall, which was close, but...
Right.
Their free was scored outrageously higher than Alexa and Chris, yeah.
Also, there's something with Deanna and Nate, it seems like, that doesn't translate on TV as to why they're not getting the scores.
They missed spin requirements in both programs where they didn't get the number.
But the judges do enjoy giving them some pretty low PCS comparatively, and you're not quite sure why theirs is
Are they
slow?
They must be.
I assume it has to be because you can't really necessarily tell like speed and the quality of the edge on a video that you can tell in person. Like when you watch and just you can hear how quiet somebody skates. Which would surprise me though, because Deanna was such a strong single skater, and she had I thought she had very nice skating skills.
20 years ago.
Yeah. But
they look a little nervous, a little rough around the edges. Someone did point out that she was not always the best competitor early on. She got better as she went on. When she started in singles, remember she won novice at 17. They held her back and to like make sure that she would win. So she never did junior. She went from novice to senior. And she won novice, but she was competing against other girls who were 5 years younger than she was at the time, which is one of those interesting.
But then she went on to win Junior Worlds, did she not?
No, she was second to Jenny.
Second.
But I thought she won Junior Nationals that year. Is that not right?
No, she was like one of the
final. She won the Grand Prix final. Something happened at Nationals. She had to run to the bathroom or something before. She didn't skate that great there. And then Jenny tells the story. And then at Junior Worlds, she popped the Salchow at the end. And that's how Jenny...
Right. I remember that broadcast. It was back when Lifetime used to broadcast the
And it was all about Sasha Cohen making it to Senior Worlds. And that was like... World. I watched that flop piece
Sasha being different. And yeah. So what did you think of the top pairs here? Obviously, Megan and Eric came in to win. Usually if they lose a competition, they're going to be second. Third at a Grand Prix.
He was my crush, by the way, Eric was.
Okay. What do you make of them here? If they are clean, do you think that they will still get the marks? Versus the top skaters in the world, versus Tarasova and Morozov, Aliona and Bruno.
If everyone skates clean, you're saying.
I think it's going to be really hard for them, even though I also have a soft spot for them as well. I really admire what they've done, and I admire how they, I guess I admire any older skater that's trying to like push through. And I think that there's something very heartwarming about watching them. Like I don't root for everybody.
Megan loves skating, and it comes across.
Yeah, and
it does.
Just,
and she's still trying to get better. Like in the short program specifically, I was like, I see you working to improve these things. No, it may not come as naturally to her as even someone like Alexa. Alexa just opens those first few movements and her arms are like open and there's just a carriage that's different than Megan. But like this year in the short, like it was like, wow, I see the work you put in. I see the effort you're making. And I really admire that.
They are still, especially in the long telemarketing, those throws, like they are, the whole ice seems like the
telegraphing or telemarketing.
Wait, what is it? Is telegraphing?
Telegraphing.
No. Telemarking. Yeah. Telegraphing.
Anyway. We always said telegraphing, but I like telemarketing better, even though I don't think that's a real word.
Telegraphing?
Anyway.
You think that she's setting up for the quads again, and she's not. And like, quicken it up, guys. Work on that.
Which in the short they did, and actually the work they did in the short, they always had those kind of like, look, here's a transition. Look, here's a weird feature we're doing before the throw. We're going to do this random move to make it more difficult. But in the short, they started to kind of like make it a cohesive part of the choreography much more than they have in the past.
I really like the short. I know you guys didn't, but I really like it.
No,
it's like their
short.
Best style.
Of course, Jonathan will like the short. It was done in Florida next to his French, who were probably skating around as they learned it.
I thought you didn't like the music.
I don't love the cover, but overall I like the program. So
the program works.
Nice look. Yeah. I think that John Kerr kind of like dulled the rough around the edges quality. They look more finished overall.
And like the step sequences are matching. The worst thing I hate is when everyone does their like just add water spin combo and they like do some sort of like camel spin or something and then they break apart and do that random like now we each put our arm out to the side, slow down and go into our next position. And I was like, what? This is so ugly and it slows everybody down and it has nothing to do with the music. So I was like, why does everyone just do this like token learned spin that has nothing to do with what's going on? And their spins and steps did match the music, so...
Now, what do you think of Zhang? Is he going to continue for 4 more years? Because NBC did point out that the next Winter Olympics will be in Beijing. So does this mean that we will never be done with...
Girl, he's going to be in, like, the Paralympics before we know it. Like, let the man retire. He's 1,000 years old.
I was going to say, how many Olympic cycles will that be for him if he does
He skated under the Ming Dynasty. It's like a real thing.
I don't think he's going to quit. I think he and this partner are going to go... They're going to win a world title at some point.
What's his nickname that John Coughlin told us?
Shrek.
I thought it was also like Big China or something.
Big China. He has had a couple of names. Shrek, Big China. There were a couple. Yeah, but he's massive. I mean, he's a big guy. He trying to do a camel spin when you're like 6'6", and like really built. Respect.
And also, you guys, he was the black swan in the short program and she was the white swan, and it seemed like super extra predatory. Like, maybe don't do that. Just maybe don't.
Well, also, you have the one who's Samoan skating to This Is a Man's World, which is like not the song of the year now.
Right, no, change that.
Change that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That was before the Me Too situation. So that we need to movement.
By the way, did you notice that USFS changed the hashtag to We Get Up?
Get out.
Get up.
Don't get up. Just get out.
I hate that commercial. I think it's really... But is TJ Ninam, like the rapper guy who's now a pair skater with Delilah, is he in the commercial as one of the actors? Because one of them looks like him, and I wasn't sure.
That missed my radar.
We don't have that in Eurosport.
He's a white rapper. He was a hot mess Tom Z kid last year who was like skating to Michael Jackson and clearly hadn't trained the programs at nationals, and now he's a Delilah boy, and they're going to win junior pairs. So, yeah, just good fun facts. Fun facts.
Get out.
Michael, are you getting the Olympic Channel?
So I get like nothing. I happen to be at my parents' for Thanksgiving weekend. That's why I have like the NBC Sports Network and all that. So I don't know if I will. Maybe I can like add the Olympic Channel for the month of February or the
so
lead
there's
up.
this
Let's just wait 30 seconds and go
really special
or that.
like expose on Anna Capolini and Andre's relationship.
Wait, I saw that on YouTube, and he was like wearing little black shorts. I was a big fan of that segment.
And
Yeah.
she has this big bandage.
She had a bandage because she's like skating is really rough sometimes.
You're like, couldn't you just maybe come tomorrow, like, or use makeup, like
Little cover up, yeah.
Like
It's
she
a
has
cute documentary.
enormous
So
bandage.
you can watch it on YouTube.
It's
What
like this
happened?
enormous bandage on the middle of her forehead.
She like fell on the ice, and so she's literally got like a cycloptic like eye thing going
Oh
on.
my God.
You know what I like about the Olympic Channel is that it feels like you're watching TV at 4 a.m. at all times. Like there's a Cash Direct commercial for a $5,000 cash advance loan, and it goes into like a luge. You can watch the luge at like 4 a.m. They will have curling, and then whenever they join something in progress, it's always Phil Hirsch talking about some runner from Africa, and like he knows all the stats about like their running technique. It looks like they filmed him in his living room talking about.
Wait, Phil Hirsch covers runners?
Yes, Phil Hirsch is a big track and field writer.
Oh, I
And
He's
didn't know
not
that.
for skating anymore.
I thought he was skating in opera.
Well, his son, Nick Hirsch, is the conductor. They were recently at NJ Pack where Jonathan performed. But yeah,
Yeah.
and Phil Hirsch has a cat and other things.
The Olympic Channel also has another expose that's like very long on May Bernice Mayate and how she's this like really incredible athlete. And you're just like, why did we
She
choose
looks
her?
it.
Oh, her
She
body
does.
episode. Because we hope she makes the Olympics now.
We do.
Anyway.
And then there's
Grants
one
get
on like
one or
this,
two. I can't remember.
They just get one.
there's one on a South Korean skater. Anyway, moving
Jonathan-
There's a
on.
bunch.
For
Where
Boyang-
are all these South Korean skaters? There were like a million of them. Are they still 13? Is that the problem? They
Well,
just
you
haven't hit.
just missed the Junior Grand Prix final because Terry has everyone ready to go in August. But Yoon-soo is coming up the ranks. There are other good young South Korean skaters. I still think that they should give the French Grand Prix to South Korea because in about 3 years they should be having the skaters to dominate the scene. So
Yeah, I mean, there were so many good ones that I happened to like one day be like YouTube binge watching. I don't know why, because I think it was the Yu Young one that was like incredible at like 11 or something. And then I was like, boom, 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 right down the list. I'm like, who are all these kids? And like, when are they going to actually start hitting the Junior Grand Prix final? Because when they do, if they last, like, there is going to be a significant influence of South Korean skaters, I think, on the international scene. But
You
or at
guys
least
should adopt one.
women. Yeah, maybe I'll adopt a little South Korean skater and bring her to Ushi Kessler's rink in Aston. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd love that.
Also, it needs to be discussed, sorry to interrupt, Dave, about the announcer, who especially was on fire during the pairs event when she was like, Kamernamum, or whatever she called Alexa and Chris. She read the wrong score entirely for Deanna and Nate. She was like, your short program score is 8,000 points. And they were like, and then also she definitely called Kirsten Moortowers and Michael Marinara or something like that. I was like, she's doing great. And then after Alexa and Chris's free skate, she had to like beg the audience to applaud.
Did
was
you
literally-
see the moment when Michael Marinara Sauce didn't realize that Kirsten had fallen until they
Yeah.
saw the score?
Yeah.
And was like, why did we get the
we
deduction?
need to talk about something later.
Aw.
Yeah, he
Okay,
didn't know.
side note. Speaking of deductions, did anybody look at the protocols for like any of the events? There was on the men's long, there was something under Adam's protocol that said like costume prop violation deduction.
So
what is that?
the judges can push a number if they think it's like too offensive, and you have to get a majority of the judges before they actually incur it. But they show
Okay.
the thing. I mean,
I
his
didn't know
pants
that.
were tight. His pants were tight. I don't have a problem with it, but technically, the pants. Remember, the pants are supposed to have some give, and they're not
Pants,
supposed to
not
wear
tights.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like his pants were any tighter than any of the other guys, or not. You know,
Maybe it
would've
was
been a
more
lot of-
seen because he was bending over in front of the judges, picking up dead flies. So
Right, that could be.
I mean, what I don't. They gave Yorick Hendricks a pant violation last year. One of the judges did too. So, and they often give Madison Hubble like for the fake flesh. Like one of the judges will push that on her. They just don't seem
Well,
to
my
like.
favorite was the ice dance to realize Nikita's new partner. I don't know how you say Felicia in Russian, but like they were like, isn't your costume supposed to cover 50% of your body? But literally in Latin dance, it only has to cover 40%. That's legitimately a rule.
So I
They
predict
lower the percentage.
with Ilyinik in Russia within the next 6 months. Apparently, she and her partner have split again. The one that has the court case going on in Hackensack for theft, and they, I believe, she and the partner are no more, and she's commentating, and I predict if he doesn't make the Olympics, we can show together. Now, Aliona and Bruno, we have been. To me, he still doesn't really look a part of this pair. Well, Michael Marinaro sauce. The attention is not. I don't think it's supposed to be. I would give them 2 points higher in components if I never watched him skate. But at this point, they got really a lot of benefit of the doubt from the judges. She did 2 single toes. How strong do you think they are?
Sorry, Dave, you cut out.
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
Do you think that Aliona and Bruno could be in it?
I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I think
I
so.
do.
I was
I
actually
think
just
come down. I mean, to sound like a bit of I think it'll come down to who skates the cleanest on that evening.
I think
Thank you, Scott Hamill.
he agrees. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in total agreement. Only because everyone is a little dicey with when they're delivering. But, you know, of course, they say when you're judging, like, PCS, if one skater is stronger than the other, you're kind of supposed to split the difference. And they're clearly just going with Aliona's PCS, right? Like, I would counting too much for Bruno in that.
Yeah,
but.
I would think so. I think they do a good job, though. I mean, I'm impressed. I did not expect that they were going to come together as nicely as they have. Like, watching them at Skate America, I was thinking, like, they actually look like a very, like, they've been together longer than they have, is what I would have said. But I do attribute a lot of that to the fact that I think she's just so damn strong. Like, she is, like, she could skate with anybody. Like, take a Flower Girl and to Eliana, she'd be.
But there were, like, in the shorts,
She really is.
she was some stuff. She missed her blade, like, in the lift in the short
Yeah.
program, and like some of the stuff. You know what? Their tango, I kind of wished Virtue and Moyer were doing their tango for the short program. Like, I wish they just like swapped, but whatever. Their choreography is pretty, like, the short program or the long program especially is kind of pretty easy to understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of basic in a way, so it's not so sophisticated you might not understand it. It's just very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people get it very easily.
Do you get the Star Wars program that the Chinese are doing? To me, that program didn't translate in person, but you can tell how powerful they are. And with the shows, I think in person, that's a program that
He's
works.
dressed like a chic Death Star. He's either the predatory Black Swan, like attacking the young white girl, like the White Swan girl, or he's like the Death Star attacking Princess Leia. Like, they definitely have him like in a corner niche market.
They don't seem to know what to do with them, like, at all. This is not a team with chemistry. Let's just go. But now, how do Tani's resonate for you in the dance event? They've got a huge score here. Does the program work for you, the Coldplay?
No, it's imitative of the last one.
But not as good.
I appreciate
And not as new or fresh.
Especially in the short dance, I think their short dance was pretty strong.
I like their short a lot.
Sharp. It's committed. But the thing is, like, if you're creating art, you can't like chase a feeling. You just create the feeling. You don't chase the thing. Like, I think they really thought they almost won the gold medal in Boston with the Coldplay program last time. So they're trying to recreate something they organically created the first time around.
They really like Coldplay. I think this is their 4th Coldplay program now. Like, they had an exhibition and then 2 other free dance. I mean, they really like Coldplay.
That Chris Martin.
There are other artists out there, I think, that could help them create the feeling that they're trying to create. So I don't know. It feels don't want to say reductive, but it does feel a bit like they're trying to go back to that, and it's sort of like maybe they should have just pulled the Ashley Wagner and said, I'm going back to it, or the Karen Chen, or all the American skaters who are just using programs that they felt gave them the emotions they want to feel under the competition.
They skate it well.
Yeah, I think I don't want to sound like I don't like them or I like their program, because I do think it's very nice. I think it's.
But actually, program, and what we just said about what we collectively, no, just I said it, where I thought Aliona and Bruno, it's like, it's easy, it's obvious, it's easy to understand. That's what I think about the Coldplay. It's easy for someone to be like, that's nice. But then somebody like Hubble and Donoghue, it's more sophisticated, it's more nuanced, and I think. People in general, it takes a second to understand how much more sophisticated one is than the other. Whereas the Shibutanis are really a solid third-place team.
I think that this Grand Prix season, they have solidified themselves, and although we might not agree with it, as the top American team, and they're going to win nationals and get all the politics going in their favor.
I feel like the bronze at the Olympics is probably theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I agree with that or not, because I think something more. I felt this at Sochi, though, especially with time, how sophisticated and amazing the French were. It just took me a second to understand the depth of that choreography versus the very obvious, on-the-nose, showy Russian choreography. You know what I mean? I think it's almost the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the fact that Maddie and Zach had so many falls last season, they were already coming from so far behind to be able to compete with them, especially in the U.S. It's going to be difficult. But you still have the Italians going strong, doing the same program. I do agree with you, Michael. You know, I was thinking about it. If they went back to the old Coldplay free dance, the other one has the built-in edit so that it's automatically emotional at the end, whereas this one is less emotional for me. And I think that's why the Coldplay bothers me more here than it did 2 years ago, is because the other one was a more emotional piece. I think dance.
It had levels in that music, and this one kind of drones consistently, so it's easier to kind of disengage mentally maybe at some point in the program. Not because of their skating, but the music is literally all one level. Yeah.
Yeah, the performance is all one level too. Maya's not the best performer, and I think it really comes across in a music that kind of just stays. Whereas she really connected more with the other Coldplay. Remember, she did the arms during the twizzles, and she was crying at the end, and it brought more out of her, which is
yeah, they did a little bit of that. Like, as a performer, like, stop being so moved by your own performance. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's I find it a little inappropriate. Do you know what I mean? I understand when like Olympic pressure comes off you and those moments of complete release that they must feel in like, you know, pivotal moments. But like at the end of Skate America, or like Caitlin Weaver at the end of like France, like where you just move yourself to tears with your performance, it's just a bit hard for me to take in.
I mean, unless you know like it's your last competition or your last season and you just have like strong emotions like or surrounding your performance. But I kind of agree that like a Grand Prix event, or you know, like a international that's not necessarily got that much weight on it, it probably shouldn't have that much emotion built into it. Otherwise you might be, well, I guess also some dancers feel more like an artist and a dancer rather than like an athlete, even though I'm sure they would all argue with me. But I think that like if you're all trying to like create this like moment or this emotion, then you have to sort of take yourself beyond the just physical exertion of like I'm an athlete and I'm competing. Like you really try to like become a performer, and then I guess it's hard to avoid that kind of emotional drain, but I understand what you're saying. It's sort of
argue
weird
with you on it, because standing on stage, let's say we're doing Bohème, and the Mimi is dying next to me. Okay, I get a little sad. I will feel like I am a little sad in this moment, but the Mimi who herself is dying should not be sad by her own performance. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just hard for me to follow.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap things up, what I wonder from everyone is, we already talked about Olympic teams. At this point, do you think for the U.S. men, how solidified is James Brown if he just misses the final again? Is the third spot still open for the U.S. men?
I'm going to say no, because the only alternative would be Vincent, who's had two volatile of a showing this Grand Prix.
Or
so
Max.
I think it would be Nathan or even Max. He got close. You wondered at the first event, and then at the second event, he kind of let it slip away. I have a feeling it will be Nathan, Adam, Jason.
I agree.
That's my prediction, but stranger things have happened, you know. I mean, Adam is riding this like super strong, like confident season, but it, you know, it's still ice skating, so it really, anything could happen there. That one or two missed jumps could slip you off the podium. But I think in Adam's case,
sorry,
that's okay. I think in Adam's case, they will send him if he has a decent showing at nationals, given how strong his season has been and how, you know, he did win the national title. And Nathan, of course, is going. So I think with the third spot, I think Jason is pretty much a lock for it. But if he's really a mess and Vincent skates lights out and has 2 or 3 quads in a program, I think it'd be hard to deny him that spot.
But in addition to like body of work, we know that the judges like give certain skaters bumps because they like them so much and don't go out on a limb to help others. And I think the judges don't ever go out on a limb to help Max, or would never do that for Vincent, but they will always go to bat for Jason's PCS. So do you know what I mean? I think they know it's a rough outing
at
national.
Not just in the U.S. though, internationally too. I mean, he gets the components. Yeah, that's right. So there's no denying that he will be a strong competitor at the Olympics. Like he doesn't
compete in the team event.
Right.
Brady Tennell could be a good effort for the team event. She is someone who we should probably put in there. I do think that if Vincent were to finish second, say, and do a large number of quads, that could make the meeting more interesting. You know, because then you really may have some dissension among the voters. And maybe in the, you know, in the pair event, I think that the Kieran are going, even if another team were to skate well. But I think it could be at least interesting at nationals if another team lands the joke. What do you do in that situation? That could be a fun cap. But overall, as we look to the team event, there was a lot of talk by Johnny about how Patrick Chan wasn't here and he's been so strong. Do you still consider, I mean, I didn't know, I was like, did Johnny not pay attention that Patrick hasn't really been do you still consider Canada to be the favorite for the team event?
No, I think Russia
have stepped up. If they send Voronov and he skates like this, that's the changer. Because for Russia, the dark horse was always, or the problem area was always the men's event.
But they have several good men.
Yeah, they have Kolyada too.
It's Kolyada and Voronov in that final. That changes some stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been quiet in Patrick Chan's status and what he's doing. We haven't seen any Bev Smith articles or Rose, who writes things in Canada. The only thing we've seen about Patrick Chan was this article about him not having
a store.
Yeah, so I'm waiting. But what was everyone's moment of the weekend?
I think mine was the short program from Brady, because I was like, I called that on Friday, and I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew something like that was going to happen. You know, that was just like, not that I wanted it to happen or that I was like particularly rooting for it, but like every Olympic cycle, there's sort of like a new American teenager, and I was like, who's it going to be? It'd probably be Brady. And when it happened at skate, not that she's won the Olympics yet or anything, I know it's premature, but I still think she's like staking her claim to probably snag that third spot, even though I hope it goes to Mariah. That was my moment.
Mine was Nathan Chen's short, especially that quad Lutz triple toe combo.
And then Raph afterwards being like, that was fun. I had fun. That was a lot of fun.
And we didn't even talk about the whole business with like the blade and the stone and like what was going on there. Like, get it together. It's the Grand Prix.
In the warm-up, so the edge was bothering him, but
so he just like carries the stone around in a Ziploc bag. Like, what?
Well, be prepared, okay? This is why Nathan Chen is potentially
so you can have a stone, but you don't have a costume.
Maybe Roth has the stone. Okay, that's
well. Okay, wait, and then so Adam, because he hurt his shoulder, he's not competing or he's not skating in the exhibition, right? And I was like, do you need your shoulder to sing karaoke in the exhibition? I don't know. Like,
and you get you like don't get your well, no, I guess you need a reason. Can I say what Dave said about the shoulder? Am I allowed to repeat that?
I'd like to hear.
Well, maybe that's an off-air situation. That was for us.
I didn't think it was that bad. You
Are we
said
still on
much
it?
worse. That the bird now has a broken wing.
Well, 'cause isn't he supposed to be a bird with a broken wing? That was not
Aw.
the worst.
I don't think
That's
that
just funny.
I
Yeah.
assume you guys saw, the Israeli guy, like, totally.
Yes.
Oh, I've dislocated several limbs, usually not sober, and it's always a big dramatic scene when I do it. And so the fact that he was kind of as brave as he was, I was like, snaps to you, because I would have been like wailing and screaming. It would have been a nightmare.
Also, side note, did you notice the woman in the front row in the corner, like when he fell on his quad toe at the beginning, there was this woman in a gray sweatshirt who like literally jumped out of her seat and was like, oh! And she was so loud. I literally laughed out loud. I had to repeat 3 times.
She dislocated a vocal cord.
And then who was the girl they showed crying? Was that his girlfriend?
Oh, I don't know. But
'Cause, like,
that was
you
sad.
see
Maybe his
that?
sister.
Someone
I
was
think
crying.
I think it was just like an emotional fan. She looked like a Lake Placid local. She had like some USA sweatshirt on,
That was Maya Shibutani after her own crossovers she thought were so beautiful.
It was the Hanyu fan who got lost.
Oh.
No, it was. Do you recognize the same people from when? I like that. Like, if you go to these skating events, like I recognize them. Like, oh, there's Dell sitting there. There are the flag people. There are the
boys at Score.
Why does Satoko get so many pineapples, by the way? Is that like a thing? Does she love pineapples? Did you notice that like there were like an abundance of pineapples, like stuffed pineapples being given to her?
Someone needs to explain this. We need to know why certain skaters get certain things.
Well,
Is
it's
that-
major anti-inflammatory. Maybe they just want to keep her healthy.
Could be. Yeah. Could be.
Well, maybe we can all throw stones now for Nathan. When we can correct that edge. But all right, everyone. As always, want to remind you to hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.